As news of the wedding disaster spread beyond the immediate venue, local media began picking up the story. A reporter from the town newspaper, alerted by a social media post from someone in attendance, arrived at the venue hoping to get an interview with the parties involved. The story had all the elements that make local news compelling: betrayal, public humiliation, and the destruction of what should have been a fairy tale ending. By morning, the wedding scandal was front-page news in their small town, complete with photos from social media and interviews with guests who were willing to share their perspectives on what they had witnessed. The days following the wedding disaster brought consequences that none of the participants could have fully anticipated. Sarah, devastated but determined to reclaim some dignity from the wreckage of her fairy tale, moved back in with her parents while beginning the legal process of having her marriage annulled. The irony of starting divorce proceedings for a marriage that had lasted less than 24 hours was not lost on anyone involved, but Sarah's priority was moving forward and healing from the traumatic betrayal that had occurred in front of everyone she loved. Michael found himself essentially homeless and friendless overnight. His family, mortified by his behavior and the public humiliation he had brought upon them, initially refused to speak with him or provide any support during his crisis. His construction job became uncomfortable as co-workers and supervisors struggled to maintain professional relationships with someone who had become locally infamous for wedding day infidelity. The small-town nature of their community meant that Michael couldn't escape the judgment and gossip that followed him everywhere he went, from the grocery store to the gas station to his favorite restaurant. Jessica's life unraveled even more dramatically than Michael's, as she lost not only her relationship with Thomas, but also the extensive network of friendships that had been built around her connection with Sarah. Mutual friends were forced to choose sides, and virtually everyone chose to support Sarah, viewing Jessica as the ultimate betrayer who had violated the sacred trust of friendship in the most devastating way possible. Her engagement to Thomas was called off immediately, with Thomas demanding the return of the engagement ring and any wedding plans they had made together. The social media fallout continued for weeks as the wedding disaster videos were shared, reshared, and turned into memes that spread far beyond their local community. Sarah found herself simultaneously sympathetic figure and unwilling internet celebrity, with thousands of strangers offering support, advice, and their own stories of betrayal and heartbreak. The attention was overwhelming and often unwelcome, as Sarah struggled to process her personal trauma while dealing with public scrutiny of the most painful moment of her life. Professional consequences emerged for both Michael and Jessica as their reputations in the community became permanently damaged by their actions. Jessica's career in marketing suffered as clients began questioning whether they wanted to work with someone whose personal ethics had been so publicly called into question. Michael's construction business faced similar challenges, as potential clients wondered whether they could trust someone who had betrayed his wife on their wedding day to be honest and reliable in professional settings. The most unexpected development came several months later when Sarah and Thomas, both devastated victims of the same betrayal, began spending time together as they navigated their mutual healing process. What started as shared support for their similar experiences gradually developed into genuine friendship and eventually romantic feelings. Their relationship raised eyebrows and generated additional gossip in their community, with some people viewing it as the perfect revenge against their respective cheating partners, while others worried about the psychological complexities of bonding over shared trauma and betrayal. The wedding day betrayal that destroyed Sarah's marriage and Jessica's engagement raises profound questions about the psychology of infidelity and the hidden motivations that drive people to risk everything they claim to value for momentary pleasure or emotional satisfaction. Relationship experts who analyzed the case pointed to several warning signs that, in retrospect, clearly indicated the affair had been ongoing for an extended period before the wedding day discovery. The changed phone behavior, increased secrecy, emotional distance, and scheduling conflicts were textbook indicators of infidelity that Sarah had noticed but dismissed due to her trust in both her fiancé and her closest friend. What makes this case particularly disturbing from a psychological perspective is the timeline and audacity of the betrayal. Michael and Jessica were conducting their affair right up until, and including the wedding day itself, suggesting a level of compartmentalization and disregard for others that borders on sociopathic behavior. The ability to participate in wedding planning, bachelor and bachelorette parties, rehearsal dinners, and the actual ceremony while maintaining a secret sexual relationship requires an extraordinary capacity for deception and emotional detachment from the pain being inflicted on their supposed loved ones. Mental health professionals who have studied similar cases suggest that such extreme betrayal often stems from deeper psychological issues, including narcissistic personality traits, addiction to risk and excitement, and profound emotional immaturity that prevents individuals from fully understanding or caring about the consequences of their actions. The fact that both Michael and Jessica were willing to continue their affair, even on Sarah's wedding day, suggests they may have been caught in a psychological pattern where the thrill of forbidden behavior had become more important to them than the relationships they were destroying. The community's reaction to the wedding day scandal also reveals interesting aspects of social psychology and moral judgment. The universal condemnation of Michael and Jessica's behavior, combined with overwhelming support for Sarah, demonstrates how deeply society values the institutions of marriage and friendship, and how severely we punish those who violate the trust inherent in these relationships. The viral nature of the story and the public's fascination with wedding disaster scenarios reflects our collective need to witness justice being served and moral order being restored, even if that restoration comes at the cost of multiple people's privacy and emotional well-being. Perhaps most intriguingly, the eventual romantic relationship between Sarah and Thomas, the two victims of the betrayal, raises questions about trauma bonding and whether shared experiences of betrayal can create authentic foundations for new relationships, or simply provide temporary comfort that might not sustain long-term partnership. Their relationship became a source of ongoing community interest and speculation, with some viewing it as a fairy tale ending where love conquers all, while others worried about the psychological health of a union built on mutual victimhood and shared resentment toward their former partners. This story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about love, trust, and human nature that we often prefer to ignore in our daily lives. Sarah's wedding day nightmare represents every person's worst fear about the relationships we hold most sacred, the possibility that the people we trust most completely are capable of devastating betrayal that can destroy not just our hearts, but our fundamental beliefs about human decency and loyalty. It challenges our assumptions about how well we really know the people closest to us, and whether the love we believe is genuine might be nothing more than an elaborate performance hiding unimaginable deception. The viral nature of Sarah's story also raises important questions about privacy, dignity, and our society's appetite for consuming other people's trauma as entertainment. While the public support Sarah received provided some comfort during her darkest moments, the transformation of her personal devastation into internet content created additional layers of complexity and potential harm that she never consented to experience. Her pain became public property, dissected and analyzed by strangers who felt entitled to judge, advise, and speculate about the most devastating experience of her life. Yet there's something profoundly inspiring about Sarah's response to betrayal that offers hope for anyone who has experienced similar devastation in their own relationships. Instead of allowing the betrayal to destroy her capacity for trust and love, she chose to rebuild her life with courage and dignity that ultimately led to a healthier and more genuine relationship with Thomas. Their union, born from shared understanding of betrayal's pain, may actually represent a more mature and realistic foundation for lasting love than the naive trust that characterized Sarah's relationship with Michael. The lasting impact of this wedding day disaster extends far beyond the immediate participants to anyone who has heard the story and wondered about the security of their own relationships. It serves as both a cautionary tale about the importance of paying attention to warning signs and a testament to the human capacity to survive even the most devastating betrayal and find happiness again. Sarah's journey from devastated bride to empowered woman rebuilding her life demonstrates that while betrayal can destroy the life you planned, it doesn't have to destroy your capacity to create a better life than you ever imagined possible. What do you think Sarah should have done when she first noticed the warning signs in Michael's behavior? Should she have confronted him directly, or was trusting in their relationship the right choice until she had concrete proof of betrayal? And how do you think you would handle discovering such devastating infidelity from both your partner and your best friend on what should have been the happiest day of your life? Would you have the courage to expose the truth publicly as Sarah did, or would you try to handle the situation privately to avoid the humiliation and gossip that inevitably followed? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story moved you as much as it did us, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories that prove reality is often stranger and more dramatic than anything Hollywood could create. Sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that remind us that ordinary people are capable of both extraordinary betrayal and remarkable resilience in the face of unimaginable pain.